Okay, so pricing when it comes to remodeling is one of the most important aspects, not just of the sales process, but of the whole business. And it's not just about how much you charge and the pricing structure that you should charge. When you actually reveal the price to the customer also plays a huge role in your actual ability to close sales. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through different tips and tricks that I found and discovered over working with remodelers, and the best way to really make sure that you close most of the 50-50 leads that you get where they're not sure about your product, or they're on the fence, and actually convert those into fully paying customers. So if you're not sure who I am, my name is Ben Lister. I work with remodelers, interior designers, constructors, contractors, all that good stuff, and I help those businesses to crack the code of marketing so that they have an excess of customers available to them. So the first thing to really note is that when you go to an appointment, or when you have a phone call appointment, or whatever it is with your lead, the number one thing that you need to be thinking about is you want to be diagnosing that lead's problem. You don't want to be pitching instantly. You don't want to be explaining features and benefits and all this kind of stuff before you've figured out what the lead actually wants. So this is obviously a staple of sales. Most people know how to do this already, so I won't dive too much into the details of this. But before we reveal the price, before we even discuss any sort of features or anything like that about your product, we need to focus on the diagnosis of that problem. So this might be they need a new kitchen for Thanksgiving, or they need a new bathroom because their old one is completely out of date and it's causing them embarrassment, or whatever it is. There's a problem at play that needs to be solved, and that's what we need to get down to the bottom to. So the next thing you want to do is go ahead and attach a value to the product that you are selling, the service that you are selling. And the best way that we do this is by giving some kind of social proof, some storytelling, and we really just tie the product to this person's problem. So when they, for example, think about the fact that they are embarrassed that their bathroom's really old and it's kind of run down, if we attach the fact that you have a super modern bathroom design, the latest tiles, the latest styles, all this kind of stuff, then we are directly solving that problem. So when they come to you and say, it's old fashioned, I want something that's new and that's modern, then you have the chance to pitch them something that is incredibly modern and most likely what they want. So that attaches great value to your services. And before you actually get onto the pricing of things, and before you actually give them a quote, we need to make sure that every single feature that you could possibly mention and they could possibly be interested in has been discussed. And the best way to do this is to ask them questions about what kind of stuff they like and what kind of stuff that they're looking for. This really comes in the diagnosis stage of things, and then we can reveal the features that actually fix those problems. So for example, if we get to the pricing stage and we reveal the price and then a new issue arrives, either one of two things there: either we haven't done a good enough job of actually asking questions and figuring out what this person wants and what problems they have. So by the time that they do that and we bring in a new feature, it doesn't work as well because we haven't told them about this new feature that solves this problem, and now all of a sudden we have a new feature. It kind of looks like in retrospect we haven't actually had this all along, if that makes sense. And the second thing is the customer is making it up at this point. They are, to put it nicely, they're bending the truth, and this can be either due to a lack of trust or anything like that, but that is a different topic for a whole nother video. And we always want to make sure that by the time that you have revealed the price, that the prospect has zero doubts about what the product is, what the service is, what they can get, what they're going to benefit from having this. Because as soon as we get onto the price, that stuff needs to be ironed out, because if the price is too much for what they originally expected, if it's slightly out of budget, they will start to shut down and to not really want to stretch their budget for the product, because they don't see the full value. If they see the full value first and they realize there's something there that they didn't even realize that they wanted, for example, there's a new feature that they didn't even realize they could have, and now that they've realized they can have it and it's only 10% out of their budget, then they can start to stretch to it. If we bring in these features after the price has been revealed, then at this point we're going to lose the sale. We're not going to be able to stretch the budget, and that they won't be as flexible with their budget at this point. You almost have to imagine it like this was the way that it was explained to me once, is that the appointment is almost like a free trial for the customer, in the sense that they get to see the product. Oftentimes you can bring materials, they get to feel the product, they know exactly what it would look like, and you can show them exactly how the kitchen or the bathroom would look like in their home exactly, and you are really going to give them the experience that they already have this product. So if we go in at a more higher end product, if we go in something that's slightly out of budget, we let the customer really experience this product. They know exactly what it will feel like once it's installed into their home, and realistically it's the same experience as when they are seeing it in a digital form, or when they're imagining it, than when they actually have it. So it's almost like they've had this product already, and they're trying it for the first time now. And when it comes to this point, the customer knows exactly how they will feel once they have this product. They know what kind of feelings it gives them. They know that it solves their problems. They know that it's way better than they ever thought it could be. So now when you reveal the price, they are more than willing to step up to that price and go slightly out of budget, because they want this experience. They know exactly what it will feel like. They know exactly how it will look. They've seen it all, and basically they are sold on the product. And the only jump that they need to make is just a slight budget change. If we go in guns blazing and we say, we could do something 20% out of the budget, they're probably going to shut down at this point, and they're not going to be able to have those experiences, because they know that that's out of budget. So they're not going to go they're not going to be imagining things. They're not going to open themselves up to the prospect of having this service and having this product installed. And basically what's going to happen is by the time you come around to actually, do the pitch and to see if they'd be interested, they probably won't be, because they've shut down and they haven't actually been receptive to having this upgraded product or service. If I try to contextualize this and give some kind of analogy, if I was to say to you, I have a piece of paper here, and I want you to I'm selling this for $1 million, right? Without the context, without the benefits, or anything else, just that. If you go into, for example, and say, I'm selling you this kitchen here, it does this and this, but it doesn't really give the full benefits, you're not going to want to buy that piece of paper, right? It's very unlikely that you're actually going to want to buy a piece of paper for $1 million, right? However, if I come in first and I say, I have this piece of paper here, and it's a winning lottery ticket, and it's going to be $100 million worth of prizes, right? And it's guaranteed, and I explained all the features, and I explained the guarantee that we have, and I verified the ticket and everything else, and I went through 30-45 minutes of really giving you details about this piece of paper. And then at the end, I told you the price, $100 million winning ticket, and I said, right, now it's $1 million. That $1 million seems far, far, far cheaper now that you know the value of the product, and now that you actually know what is possible with this product. Likewise, if you are selling a kitchen and you come in and you say all of the features first, you are selling a $100 million kitchen for $1 million. Obviously not that much, but if you're selling a $100,000 kitchen, and you show all the features first, and then you come in with a $75,000 price tag. If you did that the other way around, where a person had a $50,000 budget, and you say, I have a $75,000 price here, and then I go on to explain the features, it's the same thing in rational thinking, and it's the same stretch from a $50,000 budget to a $75,000 budget. But because you are explaining it in a different way, and you'll say that you have this kitchen that is far, far better, and you can actually knock it down a little bit, and you can give all the benefits and the features, the person is far more likely to stretch that budget. I'm sure that you've done it a million times in the past, where you've been out shopping somewhere, or you've been looking at something online, and you have a budget in mind, but by the time that you see what's out there and you see the different types of products, and you know that if you spend 10%, 20% more, you could actually receive a product that is 50%, 100% better, then 9 times out of 10 you're going to take it, because unless you're absolutely tied to that budget and you've got your wallet on lock and you're never going to open it, then maybe not. But most people would at least be receptive to that, and you have a much better chance of actually closing that sale and selling that product or service for a higher price. And one thing I want to touch on here is not just when you should actually reveal the price, but in what kind of location you should. So I see this quite commonly, where remodeling businesses will have the appointments, and they'll go through the sales process in person in the person's home, and they'll lay it all out, and they'll basically sell the product to that person. And then when it comes down to quotes and things like that, they deliver the quote outside of that sales environment. So either not in person, over the phone, or even through email, which is just a catastrophic way to complete the sales process, because in that instance, when you deliver the price, you are 9 times out of 10 you're going to have objections and you're going to have things to overcome. If you are not in a position where you can actually ease the concerns of that person and actually, gauge their response, and if especially if you're in a position where they don't have to respond to you, if you are in an in-person meeting and face-to-face meeting, they have to respond to you because it is just human nature. It's incredibly rude to just not respond to someone, right? But if you send them an email, if you send them a text message or whatever it may be, or even a phone call for that matter, they don't have that same kind of obligation to respond to you. And because they have this obligation in person and more likely over the phone, but the phone is less ideal, but it can be possible, then what we tend to see is that the decision-making process breaks down, and concerns get in the way, and you don't have a chance to actually squash those concerns and handle those objections. And this really gives you a chance when you're in this sales environment to make use of all the sales skills that you have, your use of tonality, all of that good stuff that you've used basically throughout the whole sales process and you know how to use. So if you're not in that sales environment, then it is just, you're almost wasting those skills, and there's no point actually having those skills and being able to close that person in person. And one thing I want to touch on, when you mention the price and when you actually get down to it and you tell them the price, there's a really important technique that I don't see a lot of remodelers doing, and it's really revolved around framing. So we call it framing, we call it stepping into someone's frame or not stepping into someone's frame. And the idea is that if you give a price of $50,000 for a kitchen, right, and this is outside of the customer's budget, if they approach this in a negative frame, so if they say something like that's quite a lot of money, or that's not what I was expecting, or anything like that, the moment that you agree with them subtly, and not necessarily saying I agree with that, the moment that you go along their lines of thinking and step into their frame is the moment that you've lost. So emotions are contagious, as we know, and if you step into the negative frame of that's more than I was expecting, I didn't expect it to be this much, or whatever the price objection may be, and you step into that frame and you say something along the lines of I appreciate that, I know it's out of your budget, or anything like that, and you approach this in that negative frame, then you're going to lose the sale. The option that we want to go with is to refuse to step into that frame and to remain in our frame. And what this means is to just completely reject the idea that this is a negative thing. So instead of talking about the price, we want to talk about the features again and say, we wouldn't agree, we wouldn't say, yes, I know that it's more than you're expecting. You can say something along the lines of, I'm so glad that you brought that up. I'm so glad that you are aware that this price is more than you're expecting. But here's the thing, you can have X, Y, and Z for this. We've now discovered that for a 10% extra increase, you can have a 50% better kitchen, whatever it may be. If we are rejecting that negativity and remaining in our positive frame, the customer has two options, right? They either remain in their negative frame and they refuse, or they step into your frame and they take on the positive frame, which basically means that they're going to close the sale. If you step into their frame, they only have one option, and that is to remain negative, because they're not then going to go and reject their original negativity and all of a sudden be positive and while you're being negative. If you stay positive, they have the choice to make. If you come over to them and you go from positive to negative, then what's going to happen is that they have no option. They're going to stay negative. But if you are in positive and they are in negative, then they have the choice to go across, and we can use our sales skills to move them into positive and to see this as a positive thing rather than a negative thing. So the fact that the price is more is a good thing because we're going to get more, rather than the price is more and this is a bad thing because I don't want to spend that much. There's a very subtle difference there, but it is a huge, huge, huge difference, which actually makes a massive difference when it comes to your closing rate. And this framing skill really takes a lot of time to get right and understand when is the best time to actually put this to use and to actually detect when someone is entering an objection in a negative frame. But what I found is the best way to actually get better at this is to almost be happy that there is an objection there. In many ways, the objection allows us to close, because once there is an objection that we've overcome and then there is no objections remaining, obviously we can have the close. If you are actually happy that this person has brought this up and you take your stance from the positive frame, then you are going to have a much better chance of completing this framing process and actually remaining in your frame and bringing them onto your side. So if you see the objections as an opportunity, then you can see them as a positive, and really that helps you to remain in your positive frame. By the way, if you're struggling to get remodeling jobs or construction or contract or interior design jobs, just go ahead and click the first link in the description. Don't worry, it's not some 5-figure course or some kind of training or anything like that. It's just a video of me describing how my company can help you to get those jobs. I don't mind if you click it or not, it doesn't really matter. If you just want to watch these videos and enjoy the free information and the content, then that is completely fine with me, but the link is there if you would like to view it. So if you like this video, go ahead and click the like button, and if you would like any sort of future suggestions for videos, you can comment that down below. And yeah, make sure you're subscribed, and I appreciate you watching this right to the very end. It really does mean a lot to me. So yeah, cheers, thank you very much.